Building and renovating a kitchen can be overwhelming. It has to have the right feel and functionality while not breaking the bank at the same time. Kitchens can become astronomically expensive projects, especially if you are hiring someone to build it for you. However, with a little creative planning, you can build your dream kitchen without going broke. We have built many over the years and always learn something new in the process. Join us as we explore all 5 kitchen spaces that we have renovated. The Caretaker's Cottage is the first cottage we renovated when we got the place 5 years ago. It contains the oldest part of the estate, so the front section dates back to the 17th century, and it used to be a one down cottage, and then they added onto that in the 18th century, and now it forms a 2-bedroom house with a kitchen, living room downstairs. So this is our lovely kitchen for the caretakers. This, we believe, was always a kitchen. It's hard to work out how it's evolved over time, but from what we believe, this was always a kitchen. It's very simple. It's just an off-the-shelf kitchen, and we've literally just done MDF doors. And we didn't even add details to this, and we just added a router detail to the top here. Our focus for this kitchen was always going to be the windows. This view out is so beautiful, looking towards the little outbuilding, which is the old laundry. And we always wanted to create like a seat here that you can sit down, look out. And also it's more of a social space, so you can sit here while someone's cooking and whatnot. When we first finished this kitchen, we did have a cushion on here instead of quartz. But the cushion, over time, when people were sitting on it, started changing shape. So we wanted something that was much more hard wearing. So we thought, just have a piece of quartz, easy to clean, easy to maintain, have a few cushions on there, and it'll work quite well. When we first got the place, there was a sink here, which was about that high and cut off half the window, which was such a shame. Little Rexy here, so Rex, the old stove, wasn't actually in this cottage. We found him in the stables, and we knew he would work perfectly here. So with great strength, because it was so heavy, we brought him over, and it's just such a lovely feature. He doesn't work, but if someone wants to restore him at some point, they can. We try and maximize on the surface area we've got for prepping and cooking and whatnot. In terms of equipment, microwave is hidden in the cupboard. We've got an oven, we've got a dishwasher and a fridge freezer here. So we've got all the things that we need. We don't like any boxing in. So this is the only boxing in we've got, which hides the waste pipe that goes up to the bathroom. But even then, you wouldn't think it's boxing in, you'd just think it's part of the wall detail. We designed it perfectly, so it creates a lovely bookend for this panel detail that we did here. The paneling was all designed around this window, which this is an original window that looks into the landing. Very curious, but I think it's just how the house has evolved. It really kind of frames the panel detail that we've done here. We've really tried to minimize on the materials we've used in here with colors. So it's just greens, whites, and then a lovely terracotta floor, which this is the original terracotta floor that continues from here into the hall and continues into the servants' kitchens. It's exactly the same tiling, installed at exactly the same time. This one's probably just been maintained a little bit better. We went a bit crazy for us, and we went for this brass splashback, and we absolutely loved the idea of it. It really ties in all the natural materials that we use across the cottages, but it doesn't wear very well. It stains quite a lot with splashes from the hob and whatnot, and you cannot for the life of you get it out unless you clean up all the brass and you start again. But this has been an aged brass, so if we cleaned it up, it would be, you know, a very shiny brass again. So that's probably one thing we would change if we were to do it again. Oh, quickly, the birdie's sticking out of the cuckoo clock. Oh my God, I've tried to get that recording so many times and missed it. It does make a noise, but we had to switch it off because people staying here, I don't think they'll want to be annoyed every hour with a cuckoo. This was just a modern thing that we found, which we don't tend to go for modern things on the walls. It's traditional stuff, but we kind of really love that. What I also love about this space is the ledge that we've got up here, which you can add details to. This is what we've decorated the space with the stuff that goes on top of the paneling, which is really nice. And I don't know if you've spotted, but what we do with most of the spaces is we go for brass sockets and switches. And then where we've got paneling, we introduce paintable sockets here so they blend in a little bit more. Because they're paintable, you paint the kind of paper that goes behind it, but you can also put wallpaper, so you can blend it into wallpaper. The windows are quite strange up there. It's a high level window that looks into the servants' courtyard, just brings in a lovely southerly light. We sourced this old lamp from a reclamation yard, and Borja found this table, which, to be honest, that's probably one thing I'd change in this entire cottage. I still don't love it. It's a new table that's made to look old. Yeah, it works, but I mean, if I was being really fussy. This is quite special. So this is the letter that we found under the floorboards in the servants' cottage. It dates back to 1873, and we thought it would be a really nice idea for when guests come to stay, that they could have a read of what the letter says and what we found. It's just a copy. It's not the original. We've still got the original, but we thought it's quite like a modern touch to have it in a big frame as a detail on a wall. The servants' cottage is a really quirky one. So it's split into two sections. We've got the ground floor, which is all the servants' kitchens, and then it's the living quarters upstairs. And we've left them as two separate elements. So we've still got the living quarters upstairs and the kitchens downstairs, but we're using the kitchens slightly differently, where we've got accommodation as well as the kitchen. And that sits right in the middle between the caretakers and the main house. So welcome to the servants' living quarters. It's on the upper floor. This is where the servants would have lived. And now it's a lovely 2-bedroom accommodation. So as you come in, you're greeted by a sitting, dining, kitchen area. You might not see the kitchen at the minute. This room was originally going to be the laundry, until we realized this door isn't wide enough to get a washing machine through. So we had to change that. So we made this into a beautiful scullery. It's got a lovely old Belfast sink. We've retained all them cupboards, but we've changed every cupboard into something different. We've got a kitchen in this space. The kitchen is in the big cupboards here. We've hidden them away. You open the doors and it reveals a full-on kitchen. So we thought we need a pantry as well. So we've got a pantry space in the smallest of the cupboards, so it's not very deep. It's very quirky because we've got a fire here. These cupboards are all different sizes because behind here is the big chimney that serves the big range downstairs in the actual kitchens. We've got scullery, pantry, study cum store, and then the kitchens. So behind these doors here, we've got an entire kitchen unit set up, oven, hob, we've got built-in fridge freezer, we've got a dishwasher, we've got it all. Everything is within this space. And the great thing is, if it's dirty and you've got friends coming around, close it off. Now, where our kitchen living area is, that used to be the linen room. All the cupboards used to contain all the linens for the entire estate.
Bringing the modern conveniences into an area that still looks like it was always there.
This setup here works perfectly. It's so adaptable. Kitchen, dining, sitting, watching the TV. You can wash up, you can get your food from this cupboard over here. And it feels exactly like what we bought, just on a cleaner scale. If you're doing this type of idea, don't keep these in the middle. We had to, because these are the original cupboards and we didn't want to mess about with them. But it's a bit of a nightmare jumping between the two spaces when you're cooking and whatnot. But if you can have these slide in or concertina out, then it's a really good setup. Ironically, the biggest property in this entire estate, the main house, does not contain a kitchen. This is because the servants would be housed elsewhere on the estate and would have made the food in those spaces. So the caretaker's cottage, the servants' cottage and the main house are all joined together because the servants would need to pass through to get to the main house easily. And then we've got the stables, which the stables sits separate to these other accommodations. It's a very healthy sized 1-bedroom accommodation, but it comes with its own privacy. It sits on its own as opposed to the rest of the estate being connected. It's got all the workshop, the tack room and the stables below. So this is the quirky space that goes through to the hayloft. We didn't ever think we'd be able to get through because this is the roof here and this is the valley section. But luckily we've managed to create an access through with a very, very big steel to support all of what's going on here, to be able to get through into an amazing open plan kitchen living area. Similar to the other hayloft, we've got a division. This is what the other hayloft would have looked like, but we filled them in to create the ensuite and the closet behind. But with this one, we didn't need to because we wanted to create this large space, which I love. I think the big thing about open plan spaces, they still need to be segregated. To have a really big space can feel quite cavernous, but this divides it. This is actually the chute from the stables downstairs. So when the horses started smelling, all their smells would go through there and then through the roof. So we left that as a lovely feature. The first bay you come into is the sitting area. And then it's naturally broken in half. And then this is the kitchen dining space, which has worked so well. It's just been such a social space. You'll see that we kept the original hayloft door here. The other hayloft door that's in the closet is visible on the outside, but not on the inside. And then we created a low-level seating area here. So when you look at it, this reads all as kitchen because we've used the same cupboard styles down here, but it's just a low-level bench you can sit on. This would have had paint tubs in or brushes or whatever, and we put flowers in it, we put food in it. It's a great multifunctional items. Let me switch the light on because I love how it switches on. This, like all of our kitchens, are hacks. They're hacks of IKEA cupboards. We love IKEA for their storage solution. Oh, by the way, IKEA have never worked with us. And I think it's crazy because the amount we've done with their units, these are actually IKEA as well. They stopped selling them, unfortunately, that we had spray painted to our own color. How we make it a little more bespoke is we add a skirting detail to the bottom, and we also add a lovely detail trim under here, which is just an MDF board that sits on top of the cupboards, and then we put our quartz on top. We've got a built-in fridge freezer here, dishwasher, ovens there. We've got a microwave in there as well, so everything's hidden away, but it's got everything you need for a kitchen. Kitchen cupboards are identical. They're all made exactly the same. They're all made of melamine. They're all covered over with just cheap stuff, really, but they're all the same. Why spend a lot of money on that? Invest in the worktops. We spend more on the worktops than we do the cupboards because these are what are going to be banged about the most, going to be used the most, and you want them to last. Anything you're touching is what you should invest your money in. All the other stuff, the secondary stuff, you don't need to spend that much money on. So how we've added extra detail in here is with this brass rail, and we can always change the style of this kitchen by just changing what we're hanging on these hooks. And then this again, like the other hayloft, is the focal point, the high level cast iron window. This has such a lovely view throughout the seasons. Winter, you get the snow on the trees. Autumn, you've got the leaves falling off. The sun comes through here during sort of late afternoon and it just washes against this wall with all the, you know, the pattern of the glass. It's such a lovely space. And because we have created it from nothing, we've managed to insulate it perfectly. It is so lovely and warm in the winter, and this is our heat source. The entire floor is underfloor heating, so it's lovely and cozy. This is actually not the original brick. These are brick slips. We almost painted them. If it was white, it would have matched the other bricks perfectly, but it does add a nice color texture up there. A house is always made up of so many layers. I've always said that a house should look good without anything in it. And then when you add that extra little bit, it's that icing on the cake. And, you know, brown is probably not everyone's cup of tea, but it just felt appropriate for a stable building. We compromised by not having a huge amount of storage that goes up to here to have that spaciousness of it only being at this counter level. And, you know, we didn't want an extractor over the hob that's going to be this big and also be complex with the ceiling. So our extractor's here and it goes down and out. So it's all those little details that make the whole look like this. We built a bar in the servants' courtyard during the filming of Saving the Manor. We love converting the outbuildings. They leave you option to do anything you want because there's not really a set purpose for them. This we created as like a laundry store because it's so convenient next to all the guest accommodation. And then this space here, this is the bar.
We're calling it a bar, but it's more like bar/outdoor kitchen. We could do barbecues out here, or we could be serving drinks.
But this is not only a window box, it is a multifunctional window box.
I love this idea of having like a flower box that you could put drinks and ice in, but it also could be a flower box. Because this window doesn't have a traditional timber sill, it felt like it was missing something.
Yeah.
So this adds a bit of extra depth.
Yeah.
We have a barbecue, we can bring it all in here, wash it. These are just floorboards that we got from a reclamation yard, and then we just buffed them up. These glasses, we got them from an auction house, £5 for all of those. We bought the carcasses, the frames that are inside from a flat pack store. All the outside elements we've made ourselves, so the side panels, the doors. The most expensive part of most kitchen cabinetry is the doors. So when you can use just basic wood and route beautiful lines in them, they can look really bespoke and they're cheap. Then we can invest our money into the more detailed items like the taps, the appliances and stuff like that. This space had a countertop in here that was oak, and it was so rotten, unfortunately, that we couldn't reuse it. For us, quartz is always the route to go when you have a worktop. With woods, they stain really easily, but because it's this outdoor space, I think it can be forgiven to have these little marks and blemishes.
We have also completed a modern style kitchen as well. This was inspired by our previous home that we lived in before we bought the estate. We love the kitchen space that we had there.
Our kitchen, you can see it's still like constantly work. We added all of the air conditioning. That was years and years of planning on how to do it to not get
not to lose the ceilings, so we lost the tops of the cupboards and we made the cupboard shorter to get the duct in there, but it's still to be decorated.
When we bought this house, the kitchen was basically to here. There was a wall in here and then another wall in here.
Oh yes, there was a pantry, a very big pantry.
The ceiling was already lowered, but what we had to do, we had to put a whole steel structure because it was bowing from the apartment above. Do you remember me?
Oh gosh, yes. See, there's a little bit of a step down here.
Yeah, so we kind of then managed to kind of get that, and it works because we buy the area.
And interestingly, the cornice that you see all around here is lovely and detailed, but there was never any cornice in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't really care about the service spaces.
Exactly.
And then we've got the dining area, and then it kind of wraps around.
Yeah. For us, our way of living, this open plan concept, we actually love because we can be there, we know what's going on, we feel more involved.
How can you not fall in love with this floor? It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually called Nala flooring, and it used to be made in Valencia, and they are all individual tiles. And at the time, back in 1900s, they will, they will make the design for you. They will come here, they will tell you what do you like, blah, blah, and they will come and they will all lay it tile by tile, which is insane. So this is just proper
It's so special. This artwork we actually brought from England. You can see from here, you can see the hole in the hall. And then I'm just going to pan around. This is the patio, so you can see from the other side as well, which is lovely, just communicates the spaces.
We're about to start renovating the servants' kitchen. We recently completed its corresponding bathroom down the hall. The antique range is gorgeous, but will be a massive undertaking to clean it up and restore it to its former glory. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned. We start that project next week.